We always hear, cite your sources, cite your sources, cite your sources. But do we ever hear why, or even how? Today we will find out why it is important to cite sources, what happens when sources aren't cited, and we will go over a brief how-to cite your sources using APA format. Citing sources is the most important part of writing a speech or a paper. Why is citing sources so important? Because according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, plagiarism is the act of using another person's words or ideas without giving credit to that person. Not citing sources in your speech or paper is committing plagiarism. With the new knowledge of what plagiarism is, let's go more into depth about the discussion behind why we cite our sources. In the Journal of American Society for Information, there is research discussed by several scientists who point out that citers are in fact appealing to both supportive evidence and to recognized authorities in order to convince the reader of his or her claim to knowledge. In that, citations are a form of social recognition even when critical in nature. Now understanding why it is important to give credit when it's deserved, I'm going to educate you a little further on the consequences of when you don't cite your sources. As stated in the University of Alaska Fairbanks' Student Code of Conduct, most institutions impose high standards of academic integrity and penalties for violations that can result in failing grade on an assignment, in a course, or even suspension and expulsion from an institution. To avoid the chance of getting expelled, I'm going to give you a quick how-to cite your sources correctly using APA format when using a website. There are many places that can help you with citing APA, places to learn how to do it, and places that do it for you. But we will just go over the basics. Using the University of Purdue's online writing lab format, this is the order of contents that must be included. First, the author's last name. Then, their first initial followed by a period, then their middle initial followed by a period, and then a comma. If there are more than one author, use the and symbol and then repeat the first step. Next, in parentheses, have the date of publication followed by a period, the title of the article after the parentheses followed by a period, and then the title of the journal followed by a comma, the volume number followed by a comma, and lastly, the page range followed by a period. Now that we know the format of our sources in APA, let's wrap it up and discuss what we learned. We know why it is important to cite sources, we know what happens when our sources aren't cited, and we know how to cite our sources using APA format. These combined show us why citing sources is the most important part of writing a speech or a paper. So, cite your sources!